Well, welcome to the Lanzarote news coming to you this week from Ibiza. We're in a hotel in the Bay of San Antonio. Sadly, you can't see the epic view behind me because it's whited out by the sunlight, but I'm going to run some video across the top of this so that you can see what we see when we look out through those windows. We're having a great time, but let's get back to the main event, which is the news from Lanzarote for you for this week. Many parts of the island have suffered from water cuts this week, and this was a planned event. Endesa, the electricity company, had to make changes to the electricity supply to the desalination plant, and they let everyone know in advance that these cuts were coming along. Most areas were out of water for only about 6 hours. Some of the rural northern areas of the island were out for considerably longer. Most properties, independent properties on the island, have aljibes, and they are water storage devices so that they can cope when there is a water cut. So for many people there wasn't a great effect, but for anyone who lives in or stays in properties that don't have their own individual water storage device, they would have been without water for several hours on the day, which was a bit of a shame. But those of us who live in the north of the island have been used to this for some time because our desalination plant isn't coping very well with the numbers of people it's having to create water for currently. Good news on the financial front. The Spanish Ministry of Finance in Madrid announced this week that things are looking good fiscally for Spain for the next 2 years, but they also particularly highlighted the Canaries as an area with some of the fastest growing GDP of all of the autonomous communities, but also that the debt per resident ratio of the Canary Islands is the second lowest in all of Spain. So to me, that means it's a great opportunity for the local politicians to look at how they can invest some of that money into our infrastructure that will benefit all islanders and tourists as well over the next few years. Now, if you're travelling to or from the airport over the next month or so, you should plan for and expect some delays. The LZ2, which is the main road that runs through Playa Honda and actually bisects the town, is having a new underpass put into it. And this week, the roadworks have required that one of the carriageways of that road is closed. It's a relatively short length, but there is a contraflow, so one carriageway is completely closed, the other one is carrying both directions of traffic, and this will go on for about a month from this week. We transited that on Wednesday when we were travelling from the island, and we'd allowed about half an hour extra time because we knew there would be jams there. Actually, we were only 15 minutes longer than we would normally be, but my advice to you if you're travelling to or from the airport is maybe allow an extra half hour just in case you're arriving at a time where there is a particularly a big build-up of traffic. Work began this week on a new wind farm which is going up in San Bartolome. There are 4 huge turbines that are going up there. They have been built at a cost of 13 million euros, and they're going to produce 9.2 megawatt hours of electricity. I never really understand what those numbers mean, but what I do know is that they will increase the amount of green energy we're producing on the island by about 20%. The figure that wasn't mentioned in the press release is that currently the island only produces around 12% of our power through solar, wind and wave, which I think is abysmal given that we have an awful lot of all of those things. So hopefully we'll get better and better in the coming years at producing more and more of our electricity in a green manner. The usual reminder, please subscribe to our channel if you enjoy these weekly news broadcasts. It means a lot to us if you subscribe, if you like our videos, and also leave a comment if you've got any questions that we haven't covered that you would like to know the answers to. We'd be delighted to read every single one of them and answer every single one of them. Now then, we've had some hikers rescued by helicopter, and this is in Caldera Blanca, which is a volcano in the protected La Heria region of the island. These were four ladies, all apparently from Romania, who decided that they would hike up the southern face of Caldera Blanca. That really doesn't make an awful lot of sense because the northern face is easily accessible. There's a clearly marked path, which means that you can actually walk into the volcano, which is a visit well worth doing. But these ladies decided that they were going to go up the southern face, and they got stuck halfway up, couldn't go up or down. It's a very slippery shale surface. They called emergency services, who turned up and then realised they couldn't do anything other than call in a helicopter, who airlifted the four ladies off the side of Caldera Blanca. Now, Ironman took place on the island last weekend. Ironman Lanzarote is renowned as the toughest long-distance triathlon event in the world. But conditions were particularly good last Saturday. It remained relatively cool. By that I mean mid-20s. We often see temperatures in the 30s in the latter part of Ironman. And the winds were particularly light. The event was won by a Belgian athlete whose name is Kenneth, and forgive me if I butcher his surname. It looks like Van den Driesich, and he won the men's event in a time of 8 hours 29. And the fastest female professional triathlete was Anne Haug from Germany, and she finished in just a little bit over 9 hours. So it was great conditions for Ironman, and I gather the finishing rate was both quite high, and the people's times were unusually good for Lanzarote. And finally, another 451 vacation homes were registered on the island in April alone. That brings the total of viviendas vacacionales on the island up to 8,342, and that number has increased by 51.8% over the last 10 months. So it's an astonishing number of beds that have been added to that whole vivienda vacacional licensing scheme. I think there are a couple of unusual elements at play in this, with this really big increase lately. As you may know if you watch this news regularly, there is a new letting law which is likely to be enacted before the end of this year, and that will almost certainly put a moratorium or a stop on new VVs being issued for a period of up to 5 years. So I think what's happening is that people who think they might want to let their homes out at some point in the future are applying for these licenses now. And I also think that there's a fairly sizable group of people who have been letting without a license, therefore illegally, who have now decided, right, okay, I've got to get this sorted out and start doing it properly, which of course is a good thing. What we don't know is, out of those 451 new homes, how many fall into each of those categories. Well, that's it for this week from Ibiza, the Lanzarote news, which sounds very strange, I know. Have a great week, everyone. We'll be back the same time next week. Be delighted if you would please subscribe to our channel and click to be notified each time these videos come out on a Saturday morning. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.